Okay, welcome to Getting to Know Jesus. We are over in lesson 114, which is in volume 9 in your book. And I didn't get it written down, so here we go again. About page 89 or
94. 94,
See, that's
honey.
what I said.
94.
Page 93.
94. 94 is where the verses are.
I count the title page because, I don't know, some people like to look at it, some people don't care.
I don't
To
care.
103, the Bible text is on pages 94 and 95. And the lesson notes are on pages 96 to 90 or to 101.
94.
94?
The lesson notes.
Okay, and we are on our way. Tonight, Jesus teaches by parables. We're going to be going through quite a few parables here in the next few lessons. Seems indeed that Jesus did a lot. I should rephrase it this way. The apostles remembered and recorded more of the parables at the end of Jesus' ministry than they did at the earlier parts. And that's perfectly understandable. If you ask how things were over the last 5 years of your life, you're going to remember the things this past year a lot better than you're going to remember the things 5 years ago. In fact, I'd have to go get a calendar for help, or I wouldn't even remember that far. And we're going to talk about how to get a better job. Some of us are actually still employed, and some of us are pretending that we're not. But we're going to talk about that anyhow. Here's our timeline. We're right down here at the end of Jesus' ministry. We're on our way to Jerusalem now. So how do you get a better job? How well do you like your job?
What job?
We
How well, there we go.
We're retired.
Would you like to get a raise or promotion? How many
Yes.
people would like to have a raise or promotion on their
Yes.
job? Okay, even the people that aren't working a raise on their
It's
head.
a raise, but I don't want the promotion.
That's right. We don't want the job.
How about a job that's better suited to your talents and abilities? Years ago, I went to what they called a Second Wind conference. Patrick Morley put it on. And it was aimed primarily at men who were middle-aged. They were in a job that they were kind of feeling it was a dead-end job. And they're a little unhappy. And so he took this through a conference saying, okay, now, if you really could do what you'd rather be doing, what would you be doing? And of course, I sat there and I said, this is a waste of my time. Not because it wasn't a good conference, but I already knew what I wanted to be doing. But it helped me to clarify my vision and helped me to be a little more committed to working on the solution that I'm working on. So, everyone would like a raise, especially if it's because of the work that you are already doing. And so let's talk about how you can get a better job. We're in Luke chapter 19, verses 11 to 28. And that's over on pages 94 and 95 in your book. Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem, and many of the people expect him to set up his kingdom. They've come to recognize that he is a future king. They just don't understand what his kingdom is yet. And yes, he is on his way to set up his kingdom. But like I say, we're going to find out as we go through these next 40 lessons or so, 46 lessons, that the kingdom that they're expecting, the kingdom Jesus set up, are very different. As Jesus and his entourage are approaching the city of Jerusalem, he takes the opportunity to teach a parable about how we might be ready for the kingdom of God. Now, much in this parable applies to how we can be better employees in our current job. And for those of you that are not working, you'll still find that this stuff will help you to get along better with your neighbors, get along better with the people that you do, that are in business that you deal with. Because it can come from both directions, from the employer, but also from the customer.
Door open.
Well, here is a picture of the wilderness somewhere along the Jericho Road. Don't know exactly where that is, but that's what I was told by the person that took the picture.
South Dakota?
Do what?
It's like South Dakota.
Jericho Road, South Dakota. Well, I don't know. Those of you that have been there might really think so. Okay, to get a better job, you are trusted to do your best. Luke chapter 19, verses 11 to 13. While we're listening to this, he went on to tell them a parable because he was near Jerusalem, and the people thought that the kingdom of God was going to appear at once. He said, a man of noble birth went into a distant country to have himself appointed king and then to return. So he called 10 of his servants and he gave them 10 minas. Put this money to work, he said, until I come back. So Jesus starts the parable by talking about a king who's going on a journey for a period of time. Before he leaves, he entrusts his estate, the equivalent of almost a 3-year salary, to the hands of 10 of his servants. He believes that they will do a good job managing those parts of his kingdom or his property that he's given them charge over. Your employer or your customers at your business, if you're in a business, engages your service because they believe that you are competent and capable to do what you're hired to do. If you're not, we'll talk about that in a minute. In fact, they expect you to provide better than average service. And good employees get appreciated. And customers that feel like I got good treatment at this place, they're going to come back and they're going to tell their friends. What happens when you go out to eat at a place and the food isn't good?
Yeah.
You tell your friends, I didn't like that place.
Don't blame the server.
So you are trusted, first of all, and I just really want to plant this really deeply. You are entrusted, and God trusts you to do your best. You have a job that you can do for His kingdom. And He believes in you or He wouldn't have given it to you. Choose your work ethic. Luke chapter 19, verses 14 and 15. But his subject hated him and sent a delegation after him to say, we don't want this man to be our king. He was made king, however, and returned home. Then he sent for his servants, to whom he had given the money, in order to find out what they had gained with it. In this parable, the people, not necessarily the servants, mind you. It didn't say his servants objected, it said the people objected to him being appointed king. They don't like their king, and they complain about him. That's like the other party does against the party that's holding the White House or holding the Congress or the House. They complain about the other party. If they're not there, one isn't there.
Kind of like the boss. The king is like the boss.
The king is like the boss in this case. Yeah, he's a property owner, and he's entrusted. It'd be like giving you 3 years' wages, however much that is, and you've got however long this person's going to be gone to take that 3 years of wages and invest it and to do something with it and hopefully make a profit for your boss. We're going to talk about that. So that is the people complaining about the guy being appointed king is only going to make it more difficult for the servants to do anything with the money that's entrusted to their care. You think, oh, I've got 3 years' wages to invest. This should be a piece of cake. But you've got people that don't want to do business with you because you're playing with the king's money. They don't like that king. They don't want him to be king. And so life is difficult. And there's going to be trials and challenges no matter where you go. But you get to choose your work ethic. You get to choose whether you're going to let the trials and problems get you down or whether you're going to mount up with the strength of Jesus and overcome those problems. We'll see that Jesus is pretty good at that. When the king returns, he calls the servants to see what they've done with the money that he gave them. Now, there will always be fault finders and complainers in any business. I've had some people complain about the Gator No Jesus Bible study already, and I've had to weather those complaints, and I've had to evaluate them to see whether they were valid or if they were just somebody of a different opinion, or if they were somebody that was maybe jealous because they hadn't thought of it, or somebody doesn't like it because I'm using the wrong Bible translation, or I'm not coming from their denominational, this is the way we believe, and who cares what the Bible says, and that sort of thing. And I've run into those problems. And it's going to happen in any business you are in. in any store you do business with. There are going to be times when things will go smoothly. There are going to be times when you're going to have difficulty with the people, and sometimes it's your fault, sometimes it's their fault, and you just have to kind of, I need the strength of Jesus to have wisdom, to discernment, to work through this in a way that honors Christ. However, now if the customers complain too much, the business may fail. They won't come back. We've seen store after store go closed. Why did they go closed? Well, sometimes the owner got old and retired. Sometimes the owner died and there was nobody to really take it on after them. But sometimes it's because the customers weren't getting what they needed from that store and they quit shopping there. Prices were too high, service was too poor, who knows? Now some people will pay an extra price if they're getting extra service. So there's not always the cheapest store that wins, but a lot of times prices do matter. And if the employees are performing good work for an employer, their work will be profitable and possibly gain the favor of more people, and more people will want to go and shop there. Now, we can name some stores here in Lakeland that have a very good reputation for serving the customers. Yes, their prices are a little bit more than the other places, but you're going to get good service there. And the other places thrive because they save the people money and they obviously give good enough service, or the people wouldn't be going back there. But the bottom line is that you get to choose what kind of a person you are going to be. Am I going to be a person that does what is right and good and honors Christ with my life? Or am I going to be selfish, or am I going to be mean to people that I think are being mean to me or get even with those customers and give me a hard time? What kind of work ethic am I going to employ in my life?
Glenn?
Yes, Morty.
When I was in business, what we did was give more than we said we would. In other words, we signed a contract and so on. We went beyond that and gave a lot of extras. And that did a world of good in getting those customers back again and getting other customers as well. The only problem we had and had to shut down was the government did it to us.
Uh-oh, bureaucratic intervention, interference.
No.
Christy?
That has never happened.
From my experience, I had one customer that he wanted me to buy all the parts. At the end, he'll pay me the lump sum. That didn't sound right. Whenever the person broke the laptop or desktop, whatever, they're responsible for the parts. And when I'm done for my service, that's all added to it. I mean, they paid their part for the parts, and pay me for my time. You know, that works out fine. But I had to deal with him, and at the end, I said, you know what? This is over your financial budget. I'm sorry. So I took the parts back, and I kept the laptops. Because
Well, sometimes you have to deal with things like that. We're going to go on here because this kind of plays into what Morty was just talking about, giving a little bit of extra. Diligence is rewarded. Luke chapter 19, verses 16 to 19. The first servant that had been entrusted came and said, "Sir, your mina has earned 10 more. Well done, my good servant," his master replied, "because you have been trustworthy in a very small matter. Take charge of 10 cities. The second came and said, "Sir, your mina has earned 5 more. This master answered, "You take charge of 5 cities." So this, one by one, the servants come and they present what they've accomplished to the king. Our text only tells us of the first 3 responses, but all 10 are called to give an account for what they did. And some did better, some did not as good, but hey, those that tried, look at that, they got rewarded.
diligence, what's that mean?
Diligence, that means perseverance. You're very thorough to do a good job. You want to take good care of your customer or the job that you're doing. You want to be diligent in it, responsible.
Give your best.
The first 2 can confidently report that they made a profit with what the king gave them, and he rewards them by putting them in charge of 5 and 10 cities based on how much they earn. So see, your work ethic reflects on the company. Back when Zig Ziglar was alive and I got to listen to him, he would tell you, you may not be a salesperson for your company. You may be lousy at selling And some of us are. But you can do something that will drive a customer away. You may not be good at recruiting customers, but you can sure drive a customer away. And so your work ethic is very, very important, and it reflects on the company. You can appease disgruntled customers, or you can drive good customers away by how you do your job. Many years ago, I was working at a Volkswagen dealership as a service advisor. When you brought your Volkswagen in to be repaired, I was the guy that went out, "Oh, hi, Mr. Smith, how's your car today? What can we do for you?" And did you own a Volkswagen?
Yes.
Oh, see, he came in, Phoenix, Arizona, 1972. I saw you there, I remember. But every once in a while, the customer would come in, he'd climb out of his car and "I thought you fixed my car and it's still doing this and doing this." I've got an irate customer on my hands, what do I got to do? I got to calm him down, I got to get on his good side, find out what the real problem is, and get it fixed really fast. And more than once I got to do something like that and was able to do it. I don't think I ever failed at that, but it's been so long ago I don't remember. But anyhow, that reflected on the company. Well, they didn't get it fixed the first time, but when I took it back, the service advisor took charge and got it fixed, and I'm happy with them. They fixed my car. I'm happy. That's the bottom line. So your employer believes that you will be an asset to the business and not a liability. He trusts you to work in a way that will build the business, not tear it down. Now, every once in a while, you get a disgruntled employee and they think, "I'm going to get even with my boss for this or that," and they do bad things, and of course they get fired if they don't quit first, and they take a bad reputation with them. How are they going to get a good recommendation when they go into somebody else saying, "Hey, I want a job"? They never think about that. So we want to be diligent, and we want to do good work in what we're doing. Those who work better, who do better work, will get better raises. Those who do better work will get a bigger bonus when the company's handing out bonuses, if it's a business that does that sort of thing. Or rewards or recognition. Maybe the best bonus you can get is for somebody to go up and say, "I appreciate you. I appreciate the job you did. Thank you for taking care of that customer. You did a wonderful job. I really appreciate." Maybe they can't afford to give you a financial cash bonus. Maybe you're at the top of the ladder as far as, you're right under the boss, a small business. And you're not going to take the boss's place. But if the boss says, "I really appreciate you working for me," that will go a long, long ways. Most of us would agree with that. Don't be a workaholic, but do the best you can do. Diligence is rewarded. And here's the contrast to that. Laziness is punished in chapter 19, verses 20 through 23 and verse 27. Then another servant came and said, "Sir, here's your mina. I kept it laid away in a piece of cloth. I was afraid of you because you're a hard man and you take out what you did not put in and you reap what you did not sow." His master replied, "I will judge you by your own words, you wicked servant. You knew, did you, that I am a hard man, taking out what I did not put in and reaping what I did not sow. Why then didn't you put my money on deposit so that when I came back I could have collected it with interest?" Then down in verse 27 he says, "Those enemies of mine who did not want me to be king over them, bring them here and kill them in front of me." I'm glad our government doesn't work that way. But there were some kingdoms that did. The third servant that Jesus tells about is one who was lazy, afraid, irresponsible. Instead of investing the money and making more, he simply hides it in a piece of cloth. It's like some people put their money under a mattress because they don't trust the banks. That's for you to work out if you're one of those, but if you put it in the bank, at least you could get interest on it. I know savings accounts don't pay very much.
1%.
1%.
1 penny.
But there are other investments, if you've got, considering how much money you might have, that pay a whole lot better. And actually, one of the ways that rich people are rich is because they invest their money and they get their money making money for them, so they don't have to be working so hard trying to make money. So if you can save up a little bit of money and put it into a wise and good investment, Your money starts making money for you. Then when you get ready to retire, you don't need Social Security.
Right.
Because you got a far better plan. Well, anyhow, that's another sidebar there. The slave or the servant accuses the master of being harsh, whom he believes and is unfair because they get a profit for the work that he did. The master's getting profit from work that he did not do. He's getting profit from that slave. That's like profiting from the work of the servants. Duh! Have you noticed in any business that the owner of the business or the president of the company gets an income? And who provides that income for him? The people down here at the bottom that do the grunt work, if you want to put it that way. Now, that's just the way life is. If you don't like that, then you own the company and you can hire people to work for you and you will profit off of them. And if you take good care of them, they will stay and they'll earn you good money and they'll have job security and you'll all be happy. And if you take all the money for yourself and you don't take good care of them, you'll never keep good employees. Your company will probably fail. Ward, did you have a comment?
Yeah, what people don't understand is that the guy at the top is the guy that's always responsible too. Anything that
Yes.
happens bad, he's the guy that pays.
He's the one that takes
Anything
the
that
heat.
happens good, he gets the reward.
If the company fails, they look to him, not necessarily to the
And
ones
that's what
who
people
failed it.
forget.
So yeah, that's right. And there's a reason for that. So you want to be that person on the top? Do the quality work that'll earn your way up the ladder. I can cite one person I know particularly. Graduated out of college, got into the corporate field, did good work, and was very soon CFO of this company. And when things didn't go good enough there, this company made him a better offer, and this company made him a better offer. The guy made a lot of money over his working career since retired, and got a little bit of money to spend. And he owns a business, and he very seldom works at that business because he's got good employees working underneath him, making the business work and making him rich. Now some of you are going to cry foul. That's not fair.
Yeah, they always send it to me.
Can't
Me
and
more
not
to come work for you,
benefit
Glenn.
from anything. You can't just save money and do nothing. That doesn't help
You've got to
somebody else.
put your money to work.
That's
Now
right.
some of us putting our money to work is reinvesting in our business so we can grow the business.
Right.
Some of us putting our money to work is investing in other businesses or stocks or real estate or collectibles or commodities and things like that that earn a profit and pay us back. So whatever it is you do though, so you got to be a good money manager, but you also don't want to be lazy. The king acknowledges the truth of the servant's statements and uses his own words to condemn him for not making a profit with the money in his care. You know, like I said, the servant could have at least put the money in the bank and earned a token interest with it. As to citizens who spoke out against the king, well, they're brought to him and killed because of their disrespect and rebellion. Dissension is not tolerated. And in any company, if you go around bad-mouthing the company, or you go around bad-mouthing your supervisor, or the president of the company, or somebody else in that company, they're probably going to come and invite you to go find a job somewhere else. They will have a security guard help you clean out your desk and personally escort you out the door with instructions. This person is never to enter this building again.
Don't burn your bridges.
Don't burn the bridges by talking bad. If you don't like the company, go get another job.
That's right.
Dismission? Would it be-
Dissension.
What's that?
Dissension, being fault-finding, complaining, grumbling, talking behind their back bad about other people. That's dissension. Will?
What do you think the boss would have said, like, if one of the guys, he put all of his money into, like, a good business idea he thought, but he ended up losing all of it?
You know, some of us have invested in this thinking it was going to work, and it didn't. And if you can't afford to lose it, don't put it in there.
But
And
I'm saying,
just-
well, wouldn't that be better than the guy who just didn't try at all?
Well, let's see now. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. If you don't try, you're not going to get anything.
Right.
If you try, yeah, you may lose, but then again, you may win.
Yeah, but
And-
I'm just saying it's better than the guy who just stuck it under his bed.
That's better than the guy stuck it under his mattress. At least you try. And we can talk about things that we've tried, and some of them have failed, and some of them we're still working on. And some of them have worked. Well, anyhow, if you have people employed by you who are not doing their work, you will soon have to release them to work for somebody else. No business can afford to employ people who think they can get paid and not do a good job, unless it's the government or unions. Now, I've seen unions that are more worried about getting them paid than they are about getting the workers to put out better quality work. And some of my experience working with a union job was, don't go too fast or you'll run out of work. We got to slow down and
Yeah.
pace ourselves. And we're taking the employer for his money, and he's charging the customer, and his rates are higher than the competition's rates, and then we wonder why the company's not getting jobs. My idea was, well, I was here to cut steel, and so I'm going to cut steel as fast as I can and cut up as much of it as I can, because that's what I'm hired to do. And caused a little grief to the morning saw operator, because he'd come in the next morning, and a lot of times, and there was no work for him to do because I did it all the night before.
Because you're a type A person.
Well, that's a whole other subject.
He's type A.
But employees with bad attitudes can destroy a good company. They cannot be tolerated if a company is going to keep its customers and continue to serve its clients. So you either change your attitude or you go work somewhere else. Now I'm going to give you another little observation about life. Most of the people that are not happy with their job, the problem is not
Good job.
the job. You got to look at yourself and say, why are you not happy with the job? Is there something in yourself that needs to be changed? Just a real short, I got to really compress this story down. I could do the long version, but I'll do the short version. The lady wasn't happy with her job. She went to a Zig Ziglar seminar, and she asked to speak to Zig Ziglar before the seminar, and circumstances were raised that he could meet her, and she comes in and she's just got this attitude all over herself, and she just got this look on her face, I am not happy with my job, I don't like those people, that company is terrible, and so forth, and she just tear him down. He said, wait a minute, lady, do they pay you to work that job? Yeah. And he got her writing down the things that they do. Do you get a vacation? Yes. Do you get health care? Oh yeah, there's pretty good health care too. And he got her writing down, and she had about 23 things on that list, and he sent her off. A year or so later, he was back in that same community for a seminar, and this lady coming down there, oh, Mr. Ziegler, you can't believe how those people have changed where I work. Most wonderful job in the whole place. What was the problem? The problem was her. If you've got a problem with your employer or with your job, you need to look at yourself and say, why? Are you doing something that you are not talented to do? Then you maybe need to look for another job. If you've just got a bad attitude and everybody else in the company doesn't seem to have a bad attitude, you might want to examine your attitude to see if you need to change your attitude, especially if you're doing something that's along your line of training and talents and abilities. Will?
You need to stop asking why you're unhappy with the job and just ask why are you unhappy in general.
Why you are unhappy in general. I told Sylvia many years ago, and sometimes we have to remind ourselves, if I'm not happy with the things the way they are right now, I would not be happy with the things if I could change them to be the way I wanted them to be. Because I'd find something else to be unhappy about. And that's the way some of us are programmed. We've got to work on our attitude because we don't want to become lazy or irresponsible in our job. That will be punished. Well, here's a map of Jericho. I actually should have had this in last week's lesson. Here's the Jordan River right here. Here's the Dead Sea right down here. And this is the location of the Old Testament Jericho, where Jesus was, well, we're not sure. That would be probably the one that Joshua knocked down. And right down here is supposed to be the location of the New Testament Jericho that Jesus would have been going through. So we talked about in the last lesson, it was leaving town, and another one said he was entering town or going through town. So that could be the explanation for that. And of course, here is the Jericho Road, weaving up through the mountains over here towards Jerusalem. And here's another map, and you can see this is a satellite, literally a satellite photo. And I tried to find the road and trace it up through there as best I could over here to Jerusalem. That is uphill. We're talking about,
A day and a half?
no, actually, walking, it would be uphill a day's walk.
12 miles and 3,000 feet.
Yeah, you're going up from below sea level to a couple thousand feet above sea level.
On the mountain? Is that faster?
No.
It's faster going from Jerusalem to Jericho than it is going from Jericho to Jerusalem, because Jerusalem is downhill to Jericho.
Oh, wow.
But Jericho is uphill to Jerusalem.
Morty could,
Quite a bit uphill.
Morty could sing for you on the Jericho Road, right?
Yeah, we can sing that song later on. Okay, well now there is earning a bonus. Oh, let's talk about getting the bonus. Luke 19, verses 24 through 26 and verse 28. Then Jesus said to the landowner, the king, said to those standing by, take his mina away from him. That's the one that buried it in the cloth in the ground, then invested in the bank, and give it to the one who has 10 minas. Sir, they said, he already has 10. He replied, I tell you, to everyone who has, more will be given. But as for the one who has nothing, why, but what he has will be taken away. If you're not a diligent steward with the talents and the time and the treasures that God has given you, what you have can very easily be taken away from you. Now maybe you don't have any treasures, but you've got talents and you've got time. That cannot be taken away from you. You can invest in developing those, and out of those talents and time become worth more treasures. Richard?
I don't know if I heard you right or not, Glenn. Do you go up to Jerusalem, down to Jericho, or down to Jerusalem, up to Jericho?
Down to Jericho,
And up.
up to Jerusalem.
And you always go up to
I thought I
Jerusalem.
read just the opposite of that.
They didn't
You're
have
right,
cars, they
because
had
the Bible doesn't think about going north up and going south down. It talks geographically, and it's accurate in all its geography.
It's
When it says
very
you go up,
accurate.
you go up. It says you go down, you go down.
Yeah.
Glenn?
Up north and down south.
Morning.
Yeah, but
Challenge,
there, that's
challenge
geographically
can be
accurate.
taken from you if you don't use them.
Talents can be taken from you if you don't use it. That's right. You got to exercise that skill, or you can become unskillful at it. Oh, we didn't get verse 28. After Jesus said this, he went on ahead, going up to Jerusalem. We just saw the map there just a moment ago. So let's talk about earning a bonus. The king rewards the most energetic of his employees with money that had been trusted over to the lazy servant. He declares that hard work gets good results and is worthy of greater reward. Now, some people question giving more to the one who already has so much, but he justifies his actions. Good work always deserves a good reward, and this employee is obviously worth the honor. And again, in any business, if you're an employer, who are you going to promote? The guy that just kind of shows up at 5 minutes late and kind of puts in his time and is ready to go at 5 minutes before quitting time? Or the guy that's there maybe 5 minutes ahead of time, has got his cup of coffee, as soon as it's time to start, if he hasn't already, he's ready to hit the job and pump out the work. And he works right up till, just quitting time, and then he puts his stuff away and goes home. Which one are you going to want to promote? You're going to want to promote the one that's doing the better job.
Right.
In every situation, Will.
What I've found in working in restaurants and stuff, like I'll be back at the house, I'll be working harder than most of the other guys. But just because I work harder than them, I'm not as friendly with the bosses because I'm busy working. So the other guys that are more friendly with them, they get the raises and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, there can be exceptions to the rule, but Morgan?
Can we look at that map again just for a moment? Can you back up to that? I want to read your text here, something I read a while ago. Jesus is going up to Jerusalem. The Jordan River near the Dead Sea
There's the Jordan River. This is all below sea level.
is 1,000 feet below sea level.
Yes.
Jerusalem is 2,600 feet above sea level.
Yes.
So going up to Jerusalem, that's just the opposite of what you just said.
So he's going from Jericho up to Jerusalem,
Up, but
about
that,
3,600 feet or a little more,
but
plus
that
or
looks
minus a
like
few.
down. It looks like down.
Because
Yeah,
before you,
Going south, you're going up
There's
another way.
north,
yeah, it's like,
but this is down in a valley,
But he's going south.
1,000 feet below sea level. This is way up on a hilltop.
Talking about down. We're going down south and
Yeah,
up
it's
north.
weird.
Okay, well, let's get wrapped up here. Your attitude towards your employer will always affect the quality of work. If you have a bad attitude, you will soon find yourself unemployed. If you choose to have a good attitude, your work will be of the quality to gain you promotions, raises, and favors and recognition. Now, maybe your employer doesn't recognize the quality of work you're doing, but maybe one of the customers does. He says, hey, why are you working at this job when you can be working for me? Quality work will eventually, sometimes it may take a while, but it will get noticed and it will get rewarded. Maybe you get better tips because you give better service.
I mean, I have got other job offers from other jobs while I was for better jobs while I was at the place that didn't recognize me, you know?
Yeah, see, so just keep trying, but you know, whether you get the recognition or not, you've got something in here that says, I did my best today. And you've got that peace of mind knowing I did my best today. I tried today. That's a whole lot more than the guy that sat there and just said, oh, I did enough to get by. You should have seen what I did to that customer that didn't give me a good tip the last time they were in. George?
And Glenn, that God is going to promote you along the way later on, even though you may not get it soon.
God is keeping score. And you know what? The greatest, I talked about this a moment ago, the greatest promotion you have is this one right here. That you know you did your best, whether it turns out this way or not.
Right.
You know your own integrity. You did your best. Will?
That was one of the things I loved about stripping and waxing floors. Because when I was, it might take a long time to strip and wax it, but like I could come in, the floors looked terrible. When I left, the floors were like bling. I mean, like I didn't have to wait for a paycheck at the end of the week. I was happy. Just
You could look at that. You could see the difference that you made in that job.
My boss gave me, didn't give me a raise, but actually the first time he gave me a raise, but like apparently one of the bosses came in. He's like, "That's the best floors ever looked."
All right. See, and that's good.
That's a reward.
Now, we need to go on here or we'll be up here till midnight. And some people don't want to be here that late. You will gain more customers if you're doing your best work. You will be able to manage greater responsibilities, greater income, greater benefits. So there is a bonus to doing quality work. And again, the most important bonus is the peace of mind knowing that you did your best. Well, our conclusion is this. If you want more, you have to be willing to do more. And your work ethic reflects who Jesus is in you. So put your employer above your pay, and your employer will take good care of your pay if he's a wise employer. Next week, Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem. He stops in Bethany for dinner with Mary and Martha and Lazarus. I wonder what controversial event will happen while he's there. Okay. Now it's time to break into our discussion groups and have our discussion questions on page 102 in your book. You can follow us and stay in touch with what is happening with the Getting to Know Jesus Bible Study Ministry on Plaxo, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and watch our video clips on YouTube and GodTube. Getting to Know Jesus is sponsored by New Hope Gospel Ministries. If you'd like to follow along with us and start your Getting to Know Jesus Bible Study group, or just pray for us or support our ministry, you can go to www.gettingtoknowjesus.org and find all the information that we have available for you. If you look at the lower right-hand corner, there's a button where you can make a safe and secure donation to the Getting to Know Jesus Bible Study Ministry. Or you can go to the order page and order your Getting to Know Jesus books for your Bible study group. Thank you for stopping by, and keep us in your prayers and let us know how we can pray for you.